The fate of special counsel Robert Mueller's report is now in the hands of the United States Congress.
Here now to break down the latest developments, Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick. Wendy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. What a morning.
Hope you're doing well. Yes. With this, there are conclusions, but not the full report. What are you taking from this so far?
Well, we've been promised the Mueller report and we've received the Barr report. But before we complain too loudly, this is not an op-ed, as many of the Democrats are stating. It is a series of principal conclusions, which Barr promised on Friday to make public over the weekend, that reflect what we're all going to see, patience is a virtue, in the underlying report. It is not going to contradict those conclusions. Can you imagine the bipartisan blowback if in fact that's what the Mueller report in total, once the redacted portions are taken out, which we have to have some things redacted, it's going to support those principal conclusions. But here is the bigger takeaway. Smoke but no fire. Underwhelming, to say the least. Is what we appear to be seeing right about now.
And right now, both sides of the aisle, they're coming out and, they're using these findings, right, to represent what they're saying. So like Democrats, they're saying the president, he's not vindicated yet. And, the Republicans are like, oh, this is a sigh of relief, like we can now move on. So how are they using this?
Chris, as with so many other legal cases, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. It is not true that this is a proclamation of innocence. Far from it. Remember that Barr's report, his letter, actually cites Bob Mueller saying there's no evidence the president committed a crime, or at least there's not that quantum of evidence, but it also doesn't exonerate him. On the other side, there isn't sufficient evidence to go forward with criminal indictments against the president, even if you could indict a sitting president. But let me also throw another wrench into all of this. This does not mean that those investigations being carried out by the Southern District of New York, for example, are not going to continue, maybe well into after the 2020 election. They are not so constrained as Mueller was. Remember, his focus was very narrow. Their focus is not. So if they want to continue investigating the president, he's got a country to run. Maybe we let him do that to some extent. But if they want to continue doing that, that should concern the Trump administration as well.
So what happens next? Because you got people on both sides saying get it all out there.
That's right.
So what's going to happen?
It gets all out there, Jason. Yeah. We're going to get it all out there. We're going to get it out there, not only Congress. Remember, that was a unanimous vote. When does Congress unanimously vote on anything? They unanimously voted that we want that report made public. And we all want to know, those of us that have been following this for 22 months, $25 million, 500 search warrants, 500 witnesses, 2,800 subpoenas, all of that for what? So because it's as underwhelming as has been reported, at least by Barr's memo, everybody wants to see the underlying facts and circumstances on which those conclusions were based.
So why did Mueller punt it off to Barr, by the way?
Well, the only thing he punted to Barr, to use that terminology, is the ultimate determination of whether obstruction of justice would remain or could sustain a criminal charge. But it wasn't really a punt, Chris, because when you look at the way he phrased it, he said that after all of that time living and breathing that report, can you imagine Bob Mueller's life for the last 22 months, he didn't find sufficient evidence to go forward. So how now would Barr substitute his judgment after 3 days and say, well, I do find sufficient evidence? I mean, how'd you like to be that guy on a month on the job and here this is dropped in his lap and he's being, making these decisions? But that's one of the reasons that he says, I'm not going to undermine the good work that Mueller has done. With my own judgment, there's going to be no recommendation of criminal charges.
All right, Wendy,
we're going to continue talking about this.
Yeah, I know. I hear you speaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a lot to take in. But I mean, so in a weird way, though, after 22 months, you're just like, at least there's this.
Let's start talking about things that matter to Americans. That's right. Good.
Thank you
so much,
Thank
Wendy.
you.